All right, and we're here. We're back again. Welcome, everyone to this Sunny Sundays lesson of on the One Great I Am Awakening. I see we have some old faces I haven't seen in a while. Big up yourself, Be Wise. Welcome, sir. Yeah, man. Glad to see you. Glad to see you. Tune in for
Um, they have me working on Sundays now, so it's difficult to tune in sometimes.
yeah, man. Understand. I think last time we saw it was a couple months ago. So anytime you can tune in is always wonderful to see, wonderful to have you. So again, welcome everyone. Today's lesson is going to talk about a rather interesting viewpoint that we've kind of like identified life with, where we said we were so-called once perfect, and because of sin we are now imperfect. We were made in the image and likeness of God consciousness, but we were so-called we have come to sin, and as a result of that, we are now imperfect. Well, it's all a lie, our misunderstanding of life itself. Understand? So there's no such thing. Um, if anything, where you have perfect imperfections. All right. But so that means that you even when you miss the mark or you're unsuccessful because you are perfect at being unsuccessful. Okay? You're either perfect at being good or perfect at being bad. Either way.
That's 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 very true. It's circus, even when you miss it perfectly.
Yeah,
When you miss the target, you miss it perfectly.
yeah.
So even in your misses, you're still perfect.
You're still perfect. Perfect is just it just means you're going to hit, wherever you aim at. So simple as that. It's just that no, wherever you hit, is that what you wanted to hit? And that is known as sin. You have missed the mark. But you missed the mark perfectly. All right. So let's tune into Reverend Ike and listen to what he has to say in this short video. Let me see. Right. That guy was really drilling Reverend Ike earlier about money. Imagine that. All right. Let's take a listen, guys. We'll be right back.
Success is divinely natural. There is nothing on earth or anywhere else more unnatural than failure. It's not natural to fail, that's unnatural. The beautiful old spiritual is titled, There Is No Failure in God. Let's say it together. There is no failure in God. The Lord God in the Old Testament, in the book of Genesis, about the only thing he ever regretted was making man. But divine principle never fails. Just think of the millions of years that the sun has come up in the morning and gone down in the evening. The seasons have changed. The tide has come in and gone out. There must be an unfaltering principle behind all of that. You can see that even in natural phenomena. Is that right? As the Christian saints would put it, Jesus never fails. And divine principle in this sense is what is truly meant by Jesus never fails. There are certain eternal cosmic laws which operate the same time all the time. And one of those great cosmic laws which operate the same time all the time without failing is this: as a man thinks, so is he. That never fails. And as Reverend Ike taught us in a previous lesson, you're always getting perfect results, whether it's perfect joy or a perfect mess. But every one of you here tonight, you may not know it, but every one of you here practicing perfection. The perfection of divine principle is operating in your life every moment. You are getting exactly what you think of yourself. If you want something else, then think something else about yourself. As I say, even if your life is a perfect mess, you're still getting perfect results. What you see is what you get. And one of the greatest things that I've ever heard Reverend Ike say, I think it was said the last lesson or a lesson before that, which again illustrates the immutability of divine principle. See yourself as you wish to be, for you must be as you see yourself. Now that's based on unchangeable divine principle.
You hear that, guys? That was very profound. See yourself as you wish to be, or you must only be as you see yourself. Wow. What do you say about that, Sir T?
Well, to know the perfection of that statement, you have to see how it come back around full circle. Any argument that does not reflect itself, it doesn't come back, then of course you know it is broken. But this is saying see yourself as you wish to be, because you can only be as you see yourself. You can't go around that. You can't go around that. You will 2 brilliant kids in college or in high school, brilliant, I'm talking extra brilliant. One always saw himself as being a judge. The other see himself as being a neurosurgeon. They do their general studies in college. The man will always see himself as a neurosurgeon. He decides to go to med school. The man who see himself becoming a judge, he decides to go to law school. It's not by coincidence. It's not no random about that.
No.
Because that's how he see himself. So he naturally follow the steps that is going to lead to what you see yourself.
Yeah. Yep. As a man think it.
As a man think it, so he becomes. See, because of the way it is written, in the Bible, it says, as a man think it in his heart, so is he.
Yeah.
You know what is, as a man think it in his heart, in your mind.
Yeah.
So is he. That's how it is written. But I, in 2025, for a more palatable translation of what it means. As a man thinketh of himself in his own mind, so he becomes. So he becomes. Because when you think it, you don't become it right away.
True.
So to say, as a man thinks, so is he, it's conflicting, it's contradicting to a point when if you're zeroing on it. Because you're thinking a particular way, you can sit here and be thinking rich now and you have $1. So as a man thinketh, so is he, does not apply in that. But as a man thinketh, and I interject in it of himself.
Yeah.
In his own mind. So he becomes. Because you don't become where you think of sports, or you don't become where you think of current affairs or politics. You become where you think of yourself.
Yep. Gradually,
yeah. Gradually.
That's why it comes upon you like a thief in the night, because it don't come right away.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the way it is written in the book, it says, as a man thinketh, which is the perfect tense of the verb to think. Think it means you continue to think that one is not a one thought. You continuously think that way.
Yes. It's a
present continuous
prolonged thing.
Yeah, it's really the present continuous tense of the verb.
Yeah.
As a man thinketh of himself. Yeah, it's prolonged thinking. It's where you call it get past the point of thinking and it now becomes a meditation.
Mhm.
It now becomes a
Okay.
meditation because it becomes so commonplace for you to think that way that it now becomes a meditation. And the words of your mouth, the meditation of your heart will forever. Forever.
Hmm. Oh gosh.
Yeah,
Nothing
man,
about
forever
that.
accepted.
Certainly nothing about those scriptures of the Bible is talking about history. It's
Oh,
talking about presently. No.
brother, history.
Yes.
Learn this from very basic history. I know we are in school, people start doing history. I think history is in high school. I don't think we do history in primary school, elementary school. But from them, a teacher history at school, don't you know that history comes with time and date?
Yeah.
History comes with time and date. Anything that is not dated cannot be accepted as being historical. If you can't tell me when it happened, which year, how else am I going to verify it?
True.
History comes with time and date. So
Mm.
anything that is not dated, if you don't have a time stamp and a date on it, then it's not historical. It is fantasy writing. You understand what I say? It's an analogy, it's a parable. Yeah, it's a tale.
Must be something that is applicable at all times. It doesn't have a specific time when it was. It just is.
Right, because it's a present continuous truth.
Yes. Exactly.
Listen, I have to salute, man. I really have to salute, man, because a man write a book there. And whichever that man or those
Not
men
God.
were, eh?
Not God.
I'm sure there's nobody, there isn't a child on this planet who believes that God wrote that. Come on, everybody knows that a man write. I'm sure everybody knows that. If you didn't know before, know ye this day. That book was written by man. And a man can only write out of his own mind, he can't write out of no other mind. So it was just men writing, putting their minds on paper. Now, those men were brilliant. I'm going to give it to them.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant for them to take consciousness awareness and put it in a tale and embellish it with natural happenings in life to engage the audience. Shame on other men who use that to trick the minds of the weak.
A friend of mine asked me yesterday, said, if are we smarter today or were we smarter back then? You know, 2,000, 3,000, 6,000 years ago. Are we smarter back then? Implying that, you know, the people that built like the pyramids and all these many different, you know, impressionable structures without the tools that we have today, you know, the many different cranes and technology and all the resources that we have today to aid in building structures. Are we smarter now than when we were then? And it's a trick question, you know? And I would say the people back then, in my estimation, were smarter because you actually had to use your brain. Today, we have outsourced everything. Everything is outsourced in terms of getting things to do things for you rather than you trying to figure it out yourself. Now today we have Chat GPT and um, you know, Google and YouTube and everything is outsourced to these sources to find the quick answers and stuff like that. So as a result, this generation and what is to come is only going to get dumber and dumber because we will not be able to think. Those individuals who wrote the Bible back then were thinking individuals, men and women, whoever they were. They actually used their brain to think. I was able to tap into dimensions not known to man today, information not known to man today. And that's why I consider that that generation was smarter. As we've learned to create things and build things and outsource things, meaning things, doing it faster for us and stuff like that, are so-called more convenient for us and whatnot. Our brain, our mind power has become less than it was before. And you can also flip it and say the men of today are smarter because look at all the things that we've created. So you can look at it both ways. It's a paradox, in a way. So it depends on your perception of it. But I'm up to say it is the guys, the men and women back then actually had to use their brains. And you see it today with calculators. I realize it with when we used to have to use our brain to do mathematical equations and stuff like that. And we were then given the opportunity to start using calculators. And I realized that as we start using these other sources, rather than trying to do it ourselves or think it through, we started to lose the ability to compute using our own brain. Our brain is the ultimate computer, Our brain is the ultimate computer. So once you outsource that to something else, as him say, the old adage say, whatever you don't use, you will lose. You're going to atrophy, whether it be a muscle or memory. You're going to lose it because you don't use it. And that's why I say the people back in the past were smarter because they were able to tap into places we can't even tap into right now because of all the other stuff that has been aiding us. And but it is the time that we're in, and we've extended ourselves basically into these gadgets and technology to create what I call it now, precision in manufacturing or speed in manufacturing, or just doing things more efficiently / effectively. But it comes at a cost, so it just depends on how you perceive it. So just wanted to draw attention to that as we continue, But our website, this is based on on uses because ChatGPT is an assistant. Yes, it is an assistant, but we've taken things that are supposed to be an assistant to becoming, the workhorse, the thing that is doing it for you rather than helping you to do it. So that's the problem. We kind of overdo it, overuse. But that said, let's jump back into the rest of this audio, and we're going to come right back with some more discussion.
And some of you are probably shocked to know that you're getting perfect results in your life. Yes, you are. You're getting perfect results. If all you get is 50 cents a month, that's perfect results, because that's all you're thinking. Divine principle reacts to Rockefeller just like it does to you. Divine principle, the law of mind, is the same thing that makes the rich rich and makes the poor poor. You see, they're not two things. The Lord our God is one. And the same thing that makes you poor is the same thing that will make you what? Rich. And it's just a simple for the law of mind to make you poor as it is to make you rich. It is just as simple for the law of mind to make you a failure as it is to make you successful. It doesn't cost God anything for you to be rich. Uh-oh. I want to give you that, and I want you to write this down. It doesn't cost God anything extra for me to be rich. Come on. It doesn't cost God anything extra for me to be rich. That's why you don't have to have any guilt complex about eating steak while others are starving. Because if you didn't eat that steak, the poor, the folks, the people who don't have the consciousness for steak couldn't eat it anyway. It was just like the young man who walked up to me as I was sitting in one of the church's limousines, Rolls-Royce limousines, several years ago, about 3 summers ago. He said to me, "Pardon me, are you Reverend Ike?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Reverend, do you think it's right for you to be riding in a car like this?" Yeah, this car cost about $30,000. I said, "Well, you're off a few." He said, "But do you think it's right for you to be riding in a car like this?" I said, "What do you mean, son?" He said, "Well, you're supposed to be helping the poor, aren't you?" So I said to him, "Would it help the poor if I got out of this and got on a bicycle?" It wouldn't help the hungry for you to be hungry, would it? See how, you know, when you don't know the law of mind, you're just downright silly. It doesn't take anything. The rich people don't take anything from the poor folks. The poor folks take from themselves. You can only have what you have the consciousness to have. And I'll have to tell you this again, and I tell you this time and time again to illustrate what I mean, because we always have new people here. Always you're reading in the newspaper about people who died in the most poverty-ridden conditions, in an old shack full of junk and paper and garbage. And some of these people had begged on the streets for years. Just like some of these people in New York. I'm going to tell you something. I came to New York about 22 years ago, and some of the same people that I saw on the street begging 22 years ago, I go down on Fifth Avenue and I see them there still begging. They got a lot of money. But you see, they've got a beggar's consciousness, and they can't even enjoy the money that they have. That's why I don't give them a damn thing. If a man comes to me and says, "Reverend Mike, I'm on level with you. I want $1 to get me a pint of wine," I'd probably give him something first. He's honest. And if I don't feel like giving it to him, I say to him, "Well, look, son," I says, "you know, if I can't afford to support a habit like that, I sure can't support yours." You know? But so many times people who have been beggars and who lived in poverty die, and they find hundreds of thousands of dollars in their hovels when they die. Well, you see, the truth is they didn't have their money had them. And there's a difference there. That's why everything that I have, I make it my business to enjoy it, and damn it, everything you get your hands on, you enjoy it. Right after I first got married, that's when I sent for the insurance man to come and so that the church could take out insurance on me for the benefit of my wife. And so after they finally made the investigation and saw the angels at my house and all like that, my wife started kidding me. She says, "Oh," says, "when you die, that me and my next husband are going to live it up." I got to thinking about that, and I said, "You call that insurance man. Call him right back here." And I took out one on air. I says, that you can mess around if you want and go before I do. But me and my next whatever are going to really live it up. Now, I'm not telling you to be reckless with your money. That's not what I mean. But everything that comes your way by means of your God consciousness, you should enjoy it and savor it. Because whatever you enjoy, you increase. Write that down. Whatever you enjoy correctly, you increase. And I've told you and warned you before, never put anything away for a rainy day. Because if you do, it's going to rain children.
I have to pause it right there and address what Reverend I just said. How many of us have been taught that we have to save for a rainy day? You know, we have to, what them say? Hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. You know, all these things are programs that we've been given by our parents and society in general, you know. And you look at the outcome of our lives right now, it is, what I'm saying, a man's life is basically the total, you know, programming of your consciousness. It's a totality of all the things that you were conscious of being and is conscious of being still in a subconscious way. Meaning that even if your mind is not on it, it does not matter because it's in your subconscious. That's why you're confused when certain things happen and you be like, why is this thing happening? I was not even thinking about that. I was not even on that vibration, you know, but we don't understand the subconscious and the different moods that we find ourselves in. You know, we're watching the TV or having a conversation, or we overhear things going on, and things like that can trigger your subconscious to activate a particular mood or you know, programming that you've always had laying in the background, just waiting to be awakened, you know? And we're not conscious of that. 95% of our lives is run by our subconscious. It's either all the things that's happening or your just the operation of your body in general. A lot of things that we do with using our body and stuff like that, we do not consciously do it. There's all subconscious behavior. Okay? All subconscious behavior. Because I was telling a friend of mine, I say, did you realize that it's two of you? You know, one conscious, one subconscious. The outer man, the inner man. You know, the seen and the unseen. It's two of you. You know, when you're talking to yourself, it's the two of you having that conversation. You understand? And the inner or the unseen is what controls most of your life. So that you have a autonomous operation or autonomous life. You don't have to think about breathing, think about beating your heart, think about, you know, digesting your food. All these things are subconscious. When you drive your car, you don't think about driving your car. Nobody thinks about driving. You just drive. It's all natural. We've become natural in everything that we had to learn for the first time. And once you learn it, it's natural now. That's why you execute. And so everything that we've been doing, whether it be a perfect bliss or a perfect miss, is on its natural state. The sun rise, the sun fall. The moon go over the sky. It rain, the sun shine. You plant a tree, it grows. The tree grows fruit. I mean, a woman gets pregnant, she has the baby. Everything is so natural, autonomous. Nothing is forced, you know? So most of our lives is is run by the subconscious mind. It's on a subconscious level, a sub level, meaning that we're not consciously doing it. We are unconscious, and yet at the same time, it's consciousness, it's awareness that's at work, you know. And so, yeah, autonomic, autonomic response, yeah. So we're autonomous in our operations daily, and we don't realize that when we're doing a certain thing, you come inside the house and you put your keys at the same place every day, and sometimes you're not even aware that you did it, that you put the keys at the same place. You just look up and you realize the key was over there, and you have no memory of when you put the key down in that location. Or if you have a bad habit of putting the key down in the wrong location all the time, that's also a subconscious behavior. That's why you lost things. You put your key down and you don't know where you put it because it's a subconscious behavior. You weren't conscious of what you were doing. So you can't remember what you did.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
correct. Yes, what you mentioned is of a real thing because what that tells me then is that if you intend to change some things, since you're there operating on automatic, which is true, that's how we operate, we become very subconscious to the things that we do daily. It's just very routine. And so it tells me then that if you intend to change something, then regarding that particular thing, you cannot let that run on automatic anymore. You have to be intentional whenever time it comes to that particular thing. You can't let that flow on auto anymore if that's something that you intend to change. You have to target that thing and be very intentional about it. At that, if it is something that you wanna, the, the the minute the thought of it comes to your mind, you have to flush that thought immediately. You can't entertain the thought at all because you're intentionally breaking a habit.
Yeah.
And after a while, it's a resist the devil and he will flee. That's what the book says. Yeah, that's what the book said. The book, it doesn't matter of fact, verbatim, that scripture said, believe in God, resist the devil, and he will flee.
It's so evident, so clear, but
Yeah, so you resist, if you resist that evil thought, then after a while it doesn't come back because you've now built a new set a new paradigm in regarding that particular thing. Listen, you can never change the entire paradigm of your life that has been set. You can never change the entire paradigm, but there are parts of it that you can change and adjust as you go.
yeah,
For example, I'm going to show you a thing. All right, like we were raised to believe in a remote God, a God who is remote from yourselves, in a separate place, a different God from you. We were raised to believe that as children. Eh? Now you and I grew up and somehow it filtered out. It filtered out of me later than it filtered out of you, but somehow we did in a way and it filtered out. Don't you still be finding yourself in a conversations and like you say something to a man and a man and say, no, so I'm not believe that. And you say, God, no man. You're still referring to a God, you still do it. Because that's a paradigm we're setting a you that if you don't constantly, that's just something that is set with upon your clock.
yeah.
It's on your clock.
Mhm.
So that's just the way how the mind works. There are some
Yeah,
things that you can change. You can target particular habits, particular things that you want to reshape. Because you are the pattern.
yeah.
You are the pattern. You can reshape things as you go, but it has
Mhm.
to be intentional. You cannot leave that
Reshape the mind.
random.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can reshape the mind.
And that's what they call what we do, Certi. Whenever you get into when you move from religion and get spiritual, they say you're conscious, which is very interesting because all that really means now is that you're paying attention. You're intentional about how you think, what you think, how you feel, the mood that you're in. You're going to get into the same encounters, but you're going to handle them a bit differently than before. And even if you slip or slide into, how you used to handle things, you're not going to dwell there as you would previously. You will, as them say, do not take the Lord thy God's name in vain, because he will not be held guiltless. You're in a place where you don't want to be in terms of your mood. And if you stay there, don't think that is going to solve the problem. It's only going to create more. Because what we're talking about today, you are always perfect. Either it's a perfect bliss or a perfect miss. So you're either creating more of what you don't want by consciously or unconsciously staying in that mood. I know we have to be very conscious rather than unconscious, because we've been so unconscious all of our lives, because that's just how we naturally operate in terms of being consciousness, between the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. The subconscious is what mirrors everything that you show it, and you just operate from that mirror until you become conscious that, oh, I don't like how I look, or I don't like how what I'm wearing. Let's change that, because consciously paying attention to every detail, of your life. And as you do that, that now becomes your new program in the subconscious mind, in where you are always aware now. Now you can move it to what they call you're always aware of what you're feeling, how you're feeling, what you're thinking, and what's going on around you. You don't easily get caught up anymore in the loudness or the unconscious behavior of the masses. You're in the world, but you're not of it. That's what the book says. Insert it. That's what the book says, that you're be in the world, but not of the world. The book was telling you the whole time, the parable book, the Bible, has been telling you the whole time, be in the world, but be not of the world, or be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Why does the Bible tell you all these things? It simply tells you all these things because consciousness is always perfect. It does not miss. It cannot miss. Okay? As I said earlier, if you're shooting a gun and you're not a professional at hitting the target, well, you're a professional at missing it. Okay? You're either a pro at hitting or missing. All that means is that you're perfect in all of your attempts. But the thing that you hit is not what you intended from the mind perspective, or the want, or the desire. That's not what you intended to hit. But that's what you hit based on how your consciousness, how you've perfected your consciousness. It's something that you have to gradually improve in order to.
Yeah, Sir Chris.
Yes, sir. T.
Sorry about that. I was trying to unmute myself a while ago, but then I realized I muted myself instead. Anyways, see what we want people to be aware of here is that what you're working with here is a law. It's a perfect law that you're working with. And the law is perfect, it's balanced, it's perfect on both sides. It's perfect all the way around. So if you miss it, as you use the analogy of firing a weapon at a target, if you hit it, you hit it perfectly. If you miss it, you miss it perfectly. It's a hit or a miss, and the law does not care whether you hit or miss because you are the one operating the law. The gun not care if you're missing.
Are you here?
Yeah, you're the one that you're the one who cares, right? So it's what you're working with here is a law, and I promise anyone here that this law is more perfect than even prior. This law is more perfect than prior. I mean, if we are to be fair, honest with ourselves, prior is not a perfect. Prior, as we have, it has been taught to us and demonstrated before us, it's not a perfect thing. Far from it. We get less answered prayers than we get more unanswered prayers than answered prayers, if we are to be honest.
True.
So, therefore, this particular law, what law am I talking about? The law that says, as a man thinketh of himself in his own heart, so he becomes. That's a perfect law. Nothing imperfect about it, nothing missing, nothing lacking. It encompasses everything. As a man think of himself in his own mind, so he becomes. You can't miss with that. It's a law.
Yeah.
What you pray for, you might get. What you pray for, you might get. But as a man think of himself in his own mind, he shall become.
Yeah, miss.
No, it's a law. It's a mental law.
Like the law of gravity. You cannot change it. You can only operate, you know, the law. You can only use the law, but you can't change the law. You know, so how you operate the law will determine on your outcome. So if you jump off a building without wings or a parachute, you're still going to go down, but you're going to go down a bit faster. And if you use wings or a parachute, you're going to still go down, but you're going to go down slower. They can't change the law, but you can operate it a certain way. Yes, sir.
Correct. It's another analogy is like using an equation in a mathematics or physics. And there's an equation that a scientist was nice enough to derive the equation for you. Now, and the equation has been tested by you yourself. You've used the equation before and get the right answer. So
Yes.
the equation has been put to the test and proved that it works. Now, if you're using that same equation to work out a later problem, maybe a more advanced problem, but you're using the same equation to work it out and you get it wrong. Nothing wrong with the equation. You know. Go back and check your steps. You did something wrong.
True.
The equation remains perfect.
That's right. That's right. Because the ones who discovered it tried it timelessly over and over. And it worked all the time. As them say, operator's error. You ever hear that terminology? And somebody come and said, "Why this not working?" They said, "No, man. I was just using it. It's working fine for me. So it must be you." so, and then again, you're operating it based on your consciousness on how to use it. So you are perfect in your operation. You know, it's just that the outcome is not what you desire. But
it's all in the law of mind, and the first place to begin is to point back at yourself, like you're trying to operate the machinery. The machinery other people have been using and it's working. You're trying to operate the machinery and it's not working for you. Take the blame. That's our first place. Our first place that to fixing the problem. You know, you have to realize that you are the one at fault.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with your outcome that you're seeing in your world. If it's not beautiful, are you to be blamed than your neighbor and another girl they don't mess up? I don't know nobody. It's you. It's us.
Exactly.
And we have the power, the corrective power within, because it is as a man think. You notice nobody can think for you. As a man think of himself in his own mind, that's what he's becoming. So when we now become what we want to become is because we now think what we should think.
Yep, that's true. It's like saying you cannot turn on your neighbor's pipe inside their house for them from your side. Everybody have their own source coming in, and You cannot use it for them. If they want water, they have to turn it on themselves. If you want water, you have to turn it on yourself. You understand? But it's the same source. It's just how you use it will determine your experience, your outcome. But either way you're doing it based on what you know or have come to know. Whether it be you're doing things in ignorance, or you're doing things with memory or with knowingness or whatever. You're both operating from a perfect standpoint. The outcome is going to be equal to the way you use it. That's why it's perfect. As it what I'm saying, there's another saying, where every action it will give you an opposite reaction. So it's based on how you act. The react, the outcome is going to be the same. It can't be different. Can't be different, And that's what we're talking about today. That we are always perfect, either in a perfect bliss or a perfect mess. So let's continue the tape. Yeah, go ahead, sir. T. You have something to say?
No, I was just gonna say a perfect bliss or a perfect mess. Whatever it is, it's you.
That's right. A perfect bliss or a perfect mess. That's right. I love that. All right, let's listen to Reverend Ike. Let him tell it. I'm gonna come right back.
Don't think you're going to take anything from anybody by enjoying, by succeeding, and by prospering. Well, the few things that I have, if you want to call them that. If I didn't have them and enjoy them, the poor people wouldn't have them.
That's right. That's right.
Success is divinely natural. Prosperity is divinely natural. I love the scripture from Joshua, you shall have good success. Together, you shall have good success. What kind of success? Good success. Everybody should be a big success. I was so happy to read yesterday that in 1972, about 25,000 more Americans became millionaires. More people are becoming millionaires today than ever. Don't you believe this old bunk about devaluation? People come to me talking about the devaluation of the dollar. I said, I'd sure rather have a few million of these devalued dollars today than nothing of those valued dollars of yesterday. And I have to repeat here again something about Harry Truman when he first ran for president on his own. And one of his opponents said, yes, in 1932 you could buy so much for a quarter. And Harry Truman said, yes, but in 1932 who had a quarter? But just stop and think for a moment. Just last year alone, 25,000 more people became millionaires. And it's easier today to be successful and prosperous than ever before. Why ordinary people are becoming successful and prosperous and becoming multimillionaires. You see, because, to go back a ways in American history, the big multimillionaires, you would say they made it in railroads and in shipping and in things of that kind. But here again, look at that old man from Kentucky who was drawing his Social Security, an old man, and he got a chicken and an idea. That's all he had, a chicken and an idea. Colonel Sanders. And he started frying chicken. And he is a multimillionaire, which goes to what I tell you from time to time that, everything is idea. And some people seem to think that, well, because I didn't get a great education, because maybe I'm an ordinary person. Well, Colonel Sanders was a very ordinary man, drawing Social Security The biggest franchise business in the nation today, Time magazine did about 10 pages on them a few weeks ago, is McDonald's. Nothing but a damn hamburger. How much more simple can success be? There's a man with a hamburger and an idea. Then he put cheese on it and made it a cheeseburger. And he kept adding. Now, what's the latest thing they've got? Big Mac. Nothing but a damn hamburger. But he kept getting, after he got that first hamburger idea, he kept putting ideas onto that idea. Are you with me? Anybody here taking me serious? See, some people are looking for some fantastic thing to come out of the sky. Some people are looking for some great wonder. Oh no, success is many times a simple idea. Yes, and people have gotten rich off of great ideas, like the Wright brothers and aeronautical science and Thomas Edison and the electric light bulb. But just think today, people are getting rich off of hamburgers. Some of you women in here can out-fry Colonel Sanders any day when it comes to chicken. Well, why ain't you rich? I myself can make hamburgers. Absolutely. So if I stop preaching, I could set up a hamburger stand, and I guarantee you, brother, I'd give McDonald's a run for all their money. Every once in a while, I make up some hamburgers, too. I've got my own recipe written down in my house. I give it to my housekeepers. I've made them myself to show them what I mean. You never tasted anything like it. I know so many, if I stop doing this, I know so many simple ideas. Because you see, when you become a person of ideas, and as one of Reverend Ike's success ideas was titled, I open my mind to right ideas. When you get in the habit of opening your mind to right ideas and to success ideas, why, successful ideas, money-making ideas just come to you in floods, which fulfill the words of Jesus, to him that hath, to him it shall be given. Colonel Sanders is going to get richer. No chicken will be safe. They're always coming up with new ideas. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That's the law of mind. And that's what wealth is anyway. Wealth is pure idea. So is poverty, pure idea. I'm just nudging some of you.
Well, you heard what Reverend Ike just ended by saying that whether it be wealth or poverty, both ideas are perfect, you know, because you're getting perfect results. And this is what the world does not know or has not come to know. We were not educated in this truth or reality because we've been told that you know, it's the devil who's causing it. They've taken away our what do I call it now, responsibility from us. We have not been given the responsibility to correct things or to fix anything. We've been told to pass the buck, pass the blame to someone else or pass the gratitude to someone else. Give God thanks or blame the devil. No responsibility on our part. And you wonder why the world is in shambles. You see perfectly cognitive, healthy looking people, individuals, dependent on people to help them. And nothing wrong with them. Perfectly fine brain and body. But what is off? Their mind. Their mind is all messed up, all programmed to believe it's someone else's fault. Especially when it's something that is somewhat detrimental or bad or whatever. It's never our fault if it's really, really something that is challenging and whatnot. We might say, wrong place at the wrong time, or just my luck. Some people have all the luck. These things have been purposely embedded in our consciousness to think like that. And I always like to say the powers that be, or that is, design these things, structure these things for us to not operate on a natural level when it's time to manifest or carry out our heart's desires. We are only natural, for the most part, in carrying out the things that we do not wish to experience. We're natural in those, that's what happen. We naturally do those things. If certainly you know this, a thief is perfect in being a thief. Very natural at it. And if you tell that same thief to start a business or do something productive, if you want to use that word, can't do it because it's not natural. And vice versa. A businessman cannot be a natural thief. Can't do it. Period.
No, because he's of a different mindset, and it's all mindset. What did never say, Sir Chris? It never said the rich man, the poor man, the beggar man, and the thief are not four different minds, but four different arrangements of the one mind.
Yep.
Because the rich man today can become the poor man tomorrow,
Yeah.
and vice versa. And the
Based on
thief
your
can
intent.
yeah, and the thief can become the judge next week, and the judge can become the thief. Every man have total freedom to execute whatever is in his mind. Nobody can stop you. That's one thing that them can never stop you from doing is thinking what you think. You can do it at will. So it's just one mind. In my father's house are many mansions, choose one. All the possibilities of thoughts are there in the father's house, which is the world of consciousness. You can think and fashion yourself into whatever you will if you will intentionally start leading down that path of thought. So what you find now is that we are the ones here operating this divine machine called the world of consciousness, the world of thought. That everything that is created came out of a thought. Again, everything that was ever created, the phone that you're having in your hand was once a thought. The computer, everything that you can naturally see with your eyes, it was once immaterial that then became material. Everything started mental, mind over matter. It is
Yeah.
mind that becomes matter. And there is only one mind, as the man say. The rich man, the poor man, the beggar man, the thief are not four different minds, but four different formation, four different operation of the one mind. So you can heal yourself just like you can make yourself stressed out and sick. You
Yeah.
understand that?
Same knife with stick, goat, stick, sheep.
Correct. Have to.
It's not rocket science.
No. Everything, that is why everything has its equal opposite. Because they have to exist in balance. There is no such thing as darkness if there isn't light. There is no such thing as short if there isn't tall.
Yeah.
The only thing that you can think of that has no opposite is zero.
Yeah.
The opposite of 1,000 is negative 1,000. The opposite of 5 is negative 5. Zero has no opposite, and that's where we should be aiming to a very neutral place
We're at the center.
where you're centered, where you're centered and balanced. And when you find yourself being a centered and balanced individual, then you're gonna be you're in equilibrium. You can flow. You're light like a feather. So that's where we aiming. That's where we aiming for zero. Zero meaning no ego. Because your ego, see, your ego is your enemy. Now. We think say there's an enemy, a grand enemy we all we have. Because we all have our individual enemies now with this trick, Whether we want to admit it or not, we all have like individual enemies, but then we all, including our enemies, where we say our enemies, all of we put together have one grand enemy named Satan. Nothing like that. I'm gonna tell you what is your enemy, and it is every man's enemy, your ego. Say after me, your ego is not your amigo. Your ego is not your amigo. What is your ego? Your ego is your emotions. Your ego is your emotions. Your emotions are there to direct you, to tell you when you're going off balance. Your emotions are not there for you to follow those emotions and become worse off balance. Your ego is like the light will come on in your dashboard. We tell you say your engine about to get messed up. Not the engine, It's just starting to go off. It's not destroyed. It's just a light that's telling you. That's what your emotions are when you feel
The
start.
indication.
It's an indication that something is off. It's not for you to follow that indication and go further off. It's to remind you to get back neutral, get back to zero. Zero has no opposites. As long as you're anything other than zero, you're gonna have opposition. And nobody wants opposition because you're going to be fighting your whole life. You want to get to a place where there is no opposition. Zero. Be neutral.
Where their life comes from uncertainty, nothingness.
What scripture say? Scripture say be still and know that I am God. That who is God? I am. Can you be saying I am and be talking about anybody apart from yourself?
Oh.
When you say I am big, who is big? Your brother or you?
Yeah, man.
Good. Be still and know that I am God. How do you become God? By being still. When are you still? When you're at zero. It gives you, and the example of it is when you fall asleep at night, you're at zero, you're neutral, you have no emotions going on about anything at all. You're just neutral. Well, when you fall asleep, I promise you, you are God. That's why when you fall asleep, you become invincible. You can do things that you can't do. You enter into a land where people who you think they're dead and gone, and you'll never hear from them again. You go into that world and you see them, talk to them, and then look, you see them.
Yep.
And you don't even realize while you're in that world, you don't even realize that they're dead until you come back to this world.
Come back without them.
So yeah, when you come back without them. So when you are still, just like how your mind can be still when you fall asleep, your mind can be still while you're wide awake. It's called meditation. What medi mean? Medium, middle, like where the zero is on the number line.
Right.
Yeah, just be still. Don't get too uppity or too downity. Not at all. Nothing gets you too up, nothing gets you too down. Be still.
Because that is the time when you're thinking clearly at all times, you know, no matter what's going on. Because your surroundings can always be either a blissful surrounding or a total mess. But all you control that is being neutral to the surrounding.
Correct.
That way you have control. You're not out of control. You're in control. Yeah. Especially when it's an actual mess, because that's when your emotions take control.
Yes, and your emotion. Remember, your emotions is your ego, and your ego is not your amigo.
Not your friend.
What? No, when you say when you can take control, somebody, I don't remember who was that. The writer said, we are ready in a book or somewhere. I heard it somewhere where you say, you can control any situation if you first control yourself. Let me say it again. You can control any situation if you first control yourself. No matter how the man big and strong, if you happen to get into a fist fight with a big and strong man for whatever reason, you step on him shoes and him push you down and you him catching a big old ball. I'm not saying this to happen. I'm just showing you where a random situation is happening where you can easily lose yourself. If you control yourself, you can control that situation, but you have to first control yourself. It's either you're gonna react to what him do or you're not gonna react to it. Or you're gonna control yourself. Or if you do react to it and you and the big old man get into a fist fight, are you gonna be there firing wild punches all over the place? Or you're gonna zero in on the nose and send one? You control yourself.
Profound, certainly, because your initial reaction is to control the situation.
Yes, but you first have that's why you're wrong first. You have to govern yourself first. You have to become very balanced in yourself with the situation at hand. So before you react to anything, you have to first point to yourself first before you react to anything at all.
So this is why when you get into an altercation and you walk away, this is after the altercation, you know, and you walk away, your emotions die down. You're going back to zero. As I say, you go from zero to hero. Right. So, we should say from zero to ego. That's it now. From zero to ego. So your emotions die down. You become a calm sea, and you start to look into yourself and the situation, and you see it differently. And you say, boy, I just should have say, you know. I'm sure I never said that, you know. you have wisdom now when you're at zero, but when you're at the egotistical point, you know, the boiling point, like hot water on the stove, boiling. Anything in that should pan burn up. You can't cool on anything because the water hot. But if you're at room temperature and you throw it on a piece of iron, that's boiling hot. That iron is gonna get cool. The coolness of the water overcome the heat. Imagine that, Certi. Cool it down.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. Water is a natural destroyer, man. Water, the fire could have looking at fire. There's nothing more dreadful pan the way you can think of that fire. The fire could have blaze up like a bit more water out to put it out. Yeah. I was standing down a west down a little bit there, circus. And the rocks. Look on the water coming in and beating against the rocks. You know, it's a high part over the seaside. And the water coming and beating against the rocks, beating against it. And I always wondered. And then I saw a tape somewhere. I watched so many tapes I don't even know where. But I watched a tape where a man is talking to his son and they're standing at a cliff just like that. and the water is beating against the rock. And the man asked him, son, over time, what end up winning? Those rocks or the water? The rocks have no chance against the water. The water is gonna eventually win. Just give it time.
Yes.
And you know why? Because the water sits at zero. The water is very soft, very neutral, very patient.
Always neutral.
The water is always very neutral.
No resistance.
Water, soft. There's nothing softer than water.
Always, absorbing each blow.
Yes.
And when
Does
you
not
think
react.
you're winning,
It doesn't react. It doesn't get emotional. Because even if it's a storm and the water can't be hard against the rock, it's not because the water angry. The water is just reacting to the natural condition where out there because the storm. The water is emotionless. It doesn't get angry. It just simply is. It's zero.
and as I mentioned, the storm surety, in the eye of a storm, it calm.
Very calm.
The center is always calm. That's why it have control on the outside. You understand? Because it's centered from within, from the inside. And you can't even see it, but it's there. And it's as calm as where you're sitting right now.
Yeah, man. Get to the center, man. Zero, the nucleus. You notice how everything have a circular shape about its surface.
Yeah.
I mean, everything divine that it all has a circular shape about it. That's why the concept of a beginning it could have never the way my mind think. The concept of a beginning could have never sit right with me. It could have never sit right with me because everything that I see everything as is continuing, continuous. Everything is continuous. Man give birth to child, child give birth to another child, that gives birth to another child, and continues endlessly.
Yeah.
Endlessly. It is a cycle that to me, because if it begins somewhere, it has to end somewhere.
Yep.
But I don't see no evidence of life ending. I see life multiplying. Every day I see people, we see the same thing keep happening. So if it's not ending, then it never began. That's how evidence show me that life continues in some form or the other.
That is the paradox, you know. It's life and death, them call it.
Yes.
But people end that death.
But isn't life and death a cycle?
It's a cycle, but people always end that death.
Yes.
Not realize that after death, life come right back.
And then it does end at death for that individual. But because
Yeah.
one person died, that doesn't mean that life doesn't exist.
Yeah, we have evidence of it that life goes on.
Every man, every individual named Christian or Gregory Thomas has a beginning and an end. Yes, this experience has a beginning and end. But when I come, I did come see life, and when I leave, I go live life. So life has no big. So when a man got to a grand beginning, it was the first time that life began. By who? By God. So could God create life? Wouldn't God have to first be alive before God could create anything? God would have to have life before he could create life. So nothing can create life. Life is simply existence.
Yeah.
But the problem that because mankind is so worried about his life ending, him start wonder where did this life begin? Your life is individual to you. It wouldn't matter where your life will begin if you never come join it. So just think about where you join and where you end. It will go on before you come and it will continue to go on after you leave.
Circle of life, man.
It's a circle.
Sun rise every day and die every day. Come right back.
Correct. And I tell you what, it's not the same sun we come yesterday, come back today. It's not the same sun. Yesterday the sunrise was at 6:58. Today it's at 6:54. whatever the sunset was at that particular time, the
Keep going,
temperature,
yeah, keep
the
changing.
average temperature of the day. Every day is a different sun, just like how every life that comes on the earth, when you give a name to that child, is a different child, but it is the same thing. Sunlight is sunlight.
Yeah.
People is people. One come and go, another one come and go. It's like this. It's like the way of them are coming in from the ocean where you go to individualize them and name them. It's just waves.
That belongs to the ocean.
Yeah, it's just all light is the ocean. Nobody ever talk about the ocean dying. When a wave come out on the beach and fade away, nobody not gonna miss it out of the ocean.
Oh, the way we assume, that's you. We know that it is still there.
It's still there.
Yeah, we don't say still there. It just come make itself known and draw right back in.
And all right, I think that's what it is. It's the same thing with a person coming out of the earth, born such and such time, die such and such, make himself known and draw back in. And life continues. No big deal. The other ocean, the wave them the ocean not wandering where the waves begin. Nothing like that.
Well, never said that. it's man is always the one trying to decipher where these things occur, when it start, when it end. But what we want you guys to look at is that everything is happening perfectly, seamlessly,
Except man.
except man.
Because man is the only thing that can think, and thinking is what's messing things up.
We don't want going against our nature. As Reverend Ike said, it's not natural to feel, you know, because you look at nature just operates so seamlessly. The grass doesn't struggle to grow, you know, the fruits don't struggle to develop. Sun come, rain come. We got the wind. We got the different seasons. Over and over, the same thing every year. No, not change.
It's not natural for man to feel any more than it's not natural. Have you ever seen a fish that can swim? It's not natural for a fish can swim, and every fish can swim. It's just natural to them. It seems that every man. There's this tele-evangelist that was born without some limbs. I remember if I had a foot something, a quarter boom or something, somebody correct me. But there's a big multinational televangelist that was born without some limbs. I think I had a foot guard born without it and succeed.
Yeah.
In this life, yeah.
Right.
So it's everyone can produce, every man can produce from within himself. What you think is an anointing from God up above upon that person without no limbs that cause them to become successful. No, it's a mindset.
Yeah.
It's a mindset.
Mm-hmm. And those people, you know, tend to work their minds more.
Yes, because they're missing some other things.
Yes. It's like if you're missing sight, then your other senses become heightened.
Your hearing, yes.
You know? And when you come out like so-called perfect with all of your limbs and your sights and, you know, all your senses and whatnot, you tend to take those things for granted because you're operating from such a autonomous perspective, or, you know, automatic, so unconscious. You don't have the consciously develop anything. It's developed already. And for the people who find challenging using, maybe they, like the televangelists, they don't have two limbs, two hands or two legs or whatever. I've seen a woman who has no hands and she has a baby, you know, and feeding the baby with her legs, holding the baby with one foot, feeding the baby with the other, and she cook and she wash. No machine. She wash our dishes, she cook our food. She's peeling the banana, peeling the yam, using only her feet with knife and spoon and a fork. And we were born with 2 feet and 2 hands, can't do it. because we didn't have to. We didn't have to learn to. We didn't have to create that conscious awareness to do it. But if we were in that position, it proved that we could by seeing someone else who cannot do what we can do, have to do with what they have and do it perfectly. Probably better than people have had to. Is that it?
So, yeah, no, but I sure you think that story where you would just say, you know, with this lady without no foot to take care of her baby to do a natural thing as a wife, as a mother. Because there must be a man somewhere there because she have a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, one man there somewhere. All right, good. You know, say I see that as a greater miracle than when a man will tell me what a man did walk on water.
Of course.
That's a miracle of the mind, is our mindset allow her to do that. She not break no law. She not break no law if you do that, you know. She operate on that law and do that. She not break no law.
No.
Walking on water is breaking a law. You can't break law.
He operates within the law of the mind.
Yeah.
Wow.
There is nothing out there that tells you that none of what she do is impossible. It's not impossible. It's implausible. It's as you say, me and you, we have all our limbs and things. We couldn't do it.
No.
It's not easy. It's not easy to do, but obviously it can be done. She do it.
You should do it.
Yeah, and we not see no more example of it. We've seen one. No,
Yeah.
we have to see an example of somebody walking on water, and until that example is seen, then it never happened.
We haven't seen it yet. We haven't seen it yet. You know, but you know, we've seen the what I call it now, the metaphoric example, walking on water, turning water into wine by changing our fortune. You're born in poverty, like many people we know, and now they're wealthy. They've turned water into wine. They didn't use excuses and stuff like that. They created it with what they had by using their mind, and now their circumstances are different. So that's the only way you can walk on water and change water into wine. Cannot be done any other way. It's the only way it can be done. And that's basically what we're doing, for this year, with our focus more geared towards exercising and doing practical, mental exercises like visualizing, meditating, imagining, and doing it purposely, and be very aware, very conscious, that we are doing it. And every week we come here, we're doing different exercise in a way, working the same muscle, but the muscle have different length and height and width, and it requires different exercise to get every angle exercised, and get that work so that it can become stronger and better. And that muscle right now we're dealing with is our mind. The mind, interestingly, is nothing, and yet it is everything. For it to be what we want it to be, it has to be exercise, or in this case, inner size, because it's an inside job. We have to work the mind. We have to use it to think. We've always been using it. It's perfect in its use in terms of the outcome. We just want better outcomes, different outcomes than what we've come to know. And the reason why we struggle with that is because we've been more on the other side of the mind with all the results we've been getting or have gotten most of our lives. In other words, as I say, whatever you don't use, whatever you don't use, you lose. So if we were accustomed to using one hand all the time, I never use the left hand or whatever. The hand that you're not using is not going to be strong. It's not going to be as useful as the one that you use all the time. So now when you decide to use the other hand, don't think you're going to lift up the same weight as the other hand is accustomed to doing. You're going to have to strengthen the other hand, and it's going to take some time. It's not going to get strong the same day, the next month, the next year as the other hand has been, because that's the one you've been using the whole time, most of the time. And it's the same thing with our consciousness. We've been using it in a way where we haven't been able to manifest our experience. We're always manifesting, but we haven't been able to manifest the things that we would desire to have in our experience. We're experiencing, the so-called wrong things. I know that we've desired to create and manifest a different lifestyle or a different outcome. We realize that we have to develop the mind, just the same as it was developed doing it previously, but with a different outcome. So we realize that, and that's why we have to come here every week, and going on and on until it becomes natural. We are not in our natural state when it comes to manifesting or doing certain things, and we know it. And it's all because of previous programming, because of previous reputation that we have. I know it's something that we have to consciously unprogram or deprogram, and because our life is run by the subconscious, and until we get that right, nothing is going to be right. The conscious mind cannot do it. If that was the case, we would have done it already, because we know what we want consciously. We know what we want. We would like to make a certain amount of money per day, per hour, per month, per week, per year. We know that consciously, but it not happen. But we know that's what we want, because we haven't got that consciousness, as Reverend Ike would say. We don't have the consciousness yet. The natural consciousness. It has to be natural. What does natural mean? When you think it, when you see it, when you hear it, it's the vibration is right. The frequency is lined up. There's no distortion. There's no doubt, fear, difficulty accepting it. If you guys were here earlier, we were playing a Reverend Ike with a guy questioning Reverend Ike about money, and he was like, Reverend Ike, why you always talk about money? Your church is the only church we know that openly talks about money all the time. Why not talk about going to heaven and religion and all these different things? Why are you always just so caught up with money? And Reverend Ike laughed. I was trying to tell him, say, listen, we've been, basically conveying that, we should have an issue with money. I don't have issue with money. Zero issues with money. And for me, it's very easy to accept, very natural. Is there a tape? What you say about that? I just love that tape about, I need to post that in the chat, for real.
Yeah, I mean, why should, as he said, he was just less hypocritical than the others. That's why he could freely talk about money. Because the others, they have the money and they love the money more than Reverend Ike didn't love the money. Reverend Ike spent the money. He spent the money. He didn't store the money. He spent the money and him live him life and his church members, they were all prospering more than they were before they joined his church. Nobody,
Yes.
yeah, everybody there was prospering more than they were before they joined. It was like a secret society, which is why it really is. This one when you have to do right and whether you believe it or not, is a secret society. It's a secret society. We're telling the strangest secret. That was the first tape in consciousness that I listened to in November of 2019. It was the strangest secret by Earl Nightingale.
Yep.
And that's what it is. It's a strange secret. It's strange because it is so simple yet so profound. And it's a secret because everybody intrinsically, I think everybody knows it, but people are not aware of it. That's why it's a strange secret. Intrinsically, I think everybody knows it. I think everybody knows that they are the ones bringing the results to themselves. They know it. People might blame things for it and I give praise to the Lord, but they know say you do it. We always knew that, but we're just not aware of it. So we know it naturally. I think it's a natural thing, like how swim there in a fish. It's a natural thing in us that we know these things, but we are not aware. And because we are not aware, we just out there shooting wildly. That's why we can't hit nothing.
Yeah.
We know that it's going to work, but we don't know how accurate it is because we won't aim.
Yeah. It's true. It's as I mentioned about the fish swims because it's natural to the fish. Man jumps into the water, cannot swim because it's not our nature, meaning natural. The word nature and natural, same thing. You understand? It's not in our nature, certain. But if you
No,
learn, if you practice,
yes, you could
it's
learn.
come natural and you swim.
And yeah, you become natural and you swim, but you will never be able to swim like a fish. Never. No matter how skillful you think you become, be careful.
That's true.
You're not a fish.
You have
Michael
love, you
Phelps.
can have guilt.
Michael Phelps is not a fish if you go certain place out in the deep ocean, then drown just like the average man.
Yeah. Or you can go certain depths,
Okay.
you know. So, you just have to become as natural as possible in your ignorance or whatever you were ignorant of. Become natural of that now, you know. Writing something with the left hand is a struggle if you're right-handed, but if you persist, it will become natural as if you're writing with the right hand, but it requires persistence. And speaking of that, something that I've come to know quite some time now, that I was listening to KT, Kevin Trudeau, some years ago, and he was saying that I never really understood at the time, but you should write cursive. Writing individual letters is not the right way to write. Write cursive. There's something about writing cursive because it's a continuation, it's a formation. You're not lifting up the pen, you're just moving along the lines or whatever, and there's no break. But to use your left hand instead, because when you use your left hand, you use your right brain, the right hemisphere. And most of us, interestingly, are right-handed. I have very few friends who are left-handed. Most people I know is right-handed. Why
No,
is
it's
that?
90. The statistics tell us it's 90-20% of the world population that is right-handed. Left-handed thing is a very, very, very real thing. Very. If you go back to school and remember how many left-handed students were in your class, it's very few. You might have one. You won't have 6 left-handed students in your class.
I remember any. to be honest. Most of the right-handed.
They are
Can't
so
remember if any.
special. They are so special that when you come across them, you remember them. As soon as you think of that person, when I first think, I think, oh yeah, man, you remember that guy in use left hand.
Mhm.
It's a very unnatural thing, and I'm sure there is something special about it.
Yeah, man, because outside of the expression of the left side, the right side, Mr. Sunshine said he's left-handed. I didn't even
Right.
know that. I didn't even know that. The left side is operated by the right side of the brain, your right hemisphere. Your left foot, your left foot, your left hand, you know, just the left side of your body. So this is why when people have strokes, depends on what side they have it at on, it's always the opposite side that's affected. So if it's on the right side, the left side is affected. If it's on the left side, the right side is affected, which is very interesting. You would think it would be in alignment, but for some reason, it's across from each other. And but we don't operate the right side as much as we do the left. You know, and this was done on purpose. So I find myself these days texting more if I'm texting with my left hand on purpose. It's almost natural to a point. Text with my left hand. Right with my left hand, I need to do that more. But you're gonna when you're doing it, you're gonna create within your own brain what do you call it, neural pathways within the brain. You're gonna create neural pathways. This is why people who are on drugs can't get off of the drugs, because the more they use the drugs, their brain is creating neural pathways wherein even when they stop using the drug, they still want it because the neural pathway is there. So they have to do something. That's why they have them do other things to kind of override that behavior, that program that they have in their brain, so that they can do something else. So it's a struggle with everything you do, whether it be drugs or any kind of habits or whatever. In your mind, all these things are over time. They create newer pathways, and it's hard to get rid of. So you have to do something different. So if you're right-handed, it's going to be hard for you to write left-handed, you know, and you're going to try to resort back to writing with the right hand because it's easier. You find yourself going back to what's easier, what's natural. That's another word for easy, is what's natural for you to do, you know. So if we can practice writing with our left hand more and more, especially in cursive, that's a challenge. But either way, write with your left hand. Kevin Tudor was like, write your desires with your left hand. So I am, write I am statements. I am so glad now that I am driving, my dream car. I am so glad now that I am living in my dream house. I am so happy now that I am, I started my long-awaited business or whatever. So, but write it, because you see, we were not told, that it's not so much what you're writing, is with which side of your body you're using to write and which side of your brain is doing it. Yes, because we've written down these things with our right hand if we're right-handed, and we're using the left side of our brain, the left hemisphere. But if we do it the other way, and it works especially if you're not naturally left-handed. If you're already naturally left-handed, it's not going to be as effective as when you're unnatural, because what you're doing now, you're really, really working the unnatural part of your brain more so than the natural side. And when you get this, when those two is clicking like that, watch out. You're ambidextrous. Right, sir?
Me like it, you know. Me like the idea. Me like the idea of it. And I love to write. I love to write. So yeah, that is something that I'm gonna engage in. I think it is very therapeutic as well. Because you have to be so engaged while you're doing it. Your mind can't be
That's
anywhere
right.
else.
That's
You have to,
right.
because it's not natural to you. So
No.
I see it as being very, very therapeutic. And you know, me used to do the blindfold thing. You know that? Wait, I get up in my house and just blindfold myself.
Mm.
Yeah, walk around my house, go brush my teeth, kind of toothbrush, brush my teeth, all these things in my house while blindfolded. Because it heightens your awareness, it's spatial awareness, and just
Exactly.
yeah, man, it sharpen your mind because you're putting yourself in a natural position and using that to power your mind to maneuver. So that's another good exercise. Not for your blindfold yourself 15 minutes every evening.
Yeah.
And you know, maneuver your way around your room. You can't put up your bed blindfolded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, just do it. If you get your wrong, then you know, take off the blindfold and fix it, man.
Yeah, these are just exercises that
Yeah.
over time would become perfect or natural. So definitely need to make that conscious effort to do these things, on a more regular basis. But the writing, even if it's not in cursive, we should at least do that. And if it's even, and it doesn't have to be 10 different things you write about. In a lot of cases, according to Kevin Trudeau, you should write one thing many times. So you have an idea or a goal or a dream. You write that one goal over and over and over with the left hand. And he says to use blue ink. I'm not sure why blue, but there's a reason. I have to check into that. But use blue ink, not black. But if I even black, oh well. And our pencil, but write the same statement over and over, just like they used to do in school when they punish you. They give you a statement to write. I am sorry that. You write, I'm sorry 100 times. You write an actual statement, over and over and over. So now we have to become like children again, as scripture say. Until you become like a child, you cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is the right hemisphere of your brain, okay? Or the subconscious of your consciousness, the right side. Bible always talk about righteousness. They talk about the right hemisphere of the mind, of the brain, and the right side of the consciousness, which is your subconscious mind. It's on the right side, just like the sun is on the right side, facing north or looking up. Okay? Everything has to be done from the right perspective, the right perception, the right way of thinking. You understand? But it doesn't mean that if we're using our right hand, as we've been taught all these years, that it is going to create the same outcome, because unfortunately you're working the opposite side of your brain, and it's more like the left side of your brain is more like the conscious mind, and it is very dominating. It dominates everything, you know. That's why most people you see is right-handed. The world is dominated by right-handed people. And it explains why we have so much turmoil in the world, because most of us are operating from the left side of our brain, or from the conscious mind only. We know nothing of the subconscious mind. We don't think from that mind, from that mindset, and we don't work from that mindset. We're always working from the conscious perspective. That's like trying to have a baby and you don't have a partner. You have to have you have to have the opposite. In this case, the right hemisphere or the subconscious mind, and start working more with that. And you will see a different, like, start doing it now. We have until the next 5 months to go before the year is finished, and we will see some other changes in the way we think and in our manifestations to come. But great, turnout again today. Wonderful topic. You're always getting perfect results. They're either perfect bliss or perfect miss or perfect bless or a perfect mess. Either way, you are always right on target. It might not be what you desire to have or experience, but based on what you're consciously aware of or aware of doing, that's why the outcome is what it is. Okay? But you can change it. As we're just demonstrating with the left hand, you can change by becoming better at carrying out, the things that you're missing on, until it becomes natural for you to do it the right way. Sorry, T, any last words?
Yeah, man, perfect landing spots. Perfect way to close. Just be reminded now. So, always head to that neutral place. Your ego is not your amigo. Don't get into your emotions about anything. Your emotions are there to serve you, not to lead you. Your emotions are there to serve you, to alert you of what is happening in your mental space. That's why you get these emotions. You get happy because of what's happening in your mental space. You get sad, you get depressed, you get angry, you get jealous, it's to tell you where you're at. It's not for you to follow it. You don't let your ego drag you down the path. I'm an embarrassing, and you feel like you're after doing something, next thing you end up in a jail. So that's your ego. You're following your ego. You don't have to respond to it. So stay neutral. Zero. Zero has no opposites, so there'll be no opposition. Very neutral. Slide through without nobody even notice. You just get through and go. All right, so be aware of that. See you guys next week.
All right, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday and the rest of your week. We'll see you back again here next week, Sunday, on the One Great I Am Awakening, to continue our growth and evolution in our mind. Love you guys.